Hello and welcome everyone to Galactic Gumbo episode 28. We're going to be talking about Mount Rushmore. Going to be going over the Mount Rushmore of 6-inch Black Series figures from Star Wars. This was a really hard one for me. We're going to go over hauls, and we're going to be talking about Force Friday, maybe sharing a few stories, Hasbro's distribution with Star Wars merchandise, and then we'll get into Hasbro just wants to sue everybody. So let's go ahead and introduce everybody and tell them where they can find you. So Dalton, why don't you kick it off?
I'm Dalton. You can find me everywhere at Daltonians TFs except for PlayStation Network. That is Daltonian95.
Rick, how about you?
And you can find me exclusively on Twitter as Shatrdglassjazz.
All right, and you can find me G1 Hextron on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and my Facebook page is the G1 Hextron. So let's go ahead and get into the hauls, and you can tell people what you've gotten since, I guess, last time you did Galactic Gumbo. I wasn't there for it, but Dalton, why don't you kick it off, man?
This week I got the Transformers Last Night Steelbane, and I also got the Perfect Effect Jinrai Prime. So that's pretty much it.
What about you, Rick?
I got the Hot Toys Harley Quinn in, and then the Star Wars stuff is nuts. I'll just say I got all the Black Series from the Wave 1, I guess it is, just the first 7. And then I got the 3 3/4 Kylo's TIE silencer. I got the Force Link device, and I got maybe like picked and choose a few from the orange and the teal 3 3/4 figures. I got the Lego TIE silencer too, and I got the Black Series Ray Speeder. And then I did get the Black Series Vader centerpiece figure. And then I got a few vintage Joes. I got Hardball, Wetsuit, Low Light, and then Astro Viper.
It's a pretty nice haul there. That centerpiece, so it's all basically statue, the Vader statue as well?
I'm assuming I haven't opened it yet.
Okay.
In fact, I haven't opened much of anything since yesterday.
All right. We'll get more into that then another time or privately. For me, I got my third Tusken Raider or Sand People, whatever they were calling them. I got the Commander Gree, Toys R Us exclusive. I got 3 Imperial Royal Guards. I've got the Playmates diecast Voltron. We got the DC Collectibles Batman Animated Series Batgirl. I got the Superman and Lois Lane 2-pack, and I got the little what's the name of that 5-pack thing? Well, whatever the heck this thing is. Siege on Cybertron. So I got that, and then I picked up the Target exclusive Executioner. I got Hera and Thrawn, and everything else I had to put on layaway because I don't have the money like that. So, yeah, dude, Raph's gonna stay on the floor. He's passed out. So, I still haven't opened Leonardo yet. So I need to. I've got stuff all over this room. I don't really know what I'm gonna do with it. But all right, so let's go ahead and let's kick off talking about. Or Mount Rushmore. So Mount Rushmore, the top 4. I tell you that your 4 favorites, for Star Wars 6-inch Black Series, and that's since Wave 1 when this started a few years ago. Dalton, do you want to go first? Because I know you don't collect a whole lot of them, but you can definitely look at them and be like, well, those 4 are the coolest.
Yeah, I can go ahead. Well, first and foremost, I've got to say Darth Maul, because I love the way he looked in the movie, and give me just a second. Then I also got to say the original trilogy Stormtroopers, because, to me, nothing's better than having something that you can just troop build endlessly as much as you want, as long as if money wasn't an issue. Yeah. Then, of course, Darth Vader. I mean, I'd probably have to say the 40th anniversary one because that's probably, I don't know, it's probably the most accurate version to date, or the best version. And Boba Fett, just the regular Empire Strikes Back Boba Fett. I mean, I'm kind of going based on characters too, so that'd be my 4.
Those are 4 good ones. They haven't put out many like bad figures. What about you, Rick?
Top 4 is Darth Maul. Going back to Wave 1, I still like Darth Maul. These are my favorites, but they're also probably the 4 that I've played with or messed with or posed the most too. And then number 3, Boba Fett. And I definitely the SDCC version with the carbonite and the little floaty, the clear stand and stuff. And then Sabine, because the paint on Sabine is sublime. That's a Black Series figure. Like, that's what a Black Series figure should be.
You said, okay. Where's the 4th? Or did you say 4?
Yeah, so I'll go back through it. It's Darth Maul.
Right.
Boba Fett. Sabine.
Okay.
And then number 1 is obviously Ahsoka. And that's just, you can't beat Ahsoka. They could put out the most perfect figure that everybody loved. And that's just me. That's my favorite. And the figure's really nice, but it's also my favorite character currently. So
wish she would stand a little bit better. I have 2, and one of them keeps on falling over easily without a door slamming, and then the other one falls over when the door slams. So, all right, for me, man, it was really hard. There's so many troops, but I was like, which one do I like the best? I like the Scarif Stormtrooper from Rogue One. I think we've talked about that before.
That's a good figure.
And I love the Biker Scout, and he comes with this stuff. But I was like, let me just pick one, trooper, and I was like, the Scarif one. I think it looks awesome looking. All right, so I went with also Ahsoka. It just love the character, and I love the way that it looks. I think it did a great job with that one. That was one that I was excited for a very long time. Sabine, putting that Rebels. To be honest, I think the Rebels are the best figures out of the entire line as far as how great they look. But I only wanted to kind of pick one there. And like you, I was kind of looking at the Darth Vader being iconic and Boba Fett. I like him a lot, but I was like, which, without armor is like probably one of the coolest looking as far as the detail on it. And I'm going to go with Bosk. Yeah. This was a hard list.
Yeah.
Because there's so many of them. I guess it would be easier to be like, what's, from, the first 3 movies, the second set of 3 movies, and then these new ones, because there's so many figures that they're pumping out. That would probably be, but if I had to put them all together, those are my 4 right there. All right, let's see.
Any
almost
made the list?
Oh yeah, I've got it. For me, that almost made the list. Let me just kind of look across. Boba Fett, Darth Vader, Biker Scout. I would say Hera, Darth Maul. Those are kind of the top ones. Like Hera, I knew I loved as soon as I saw it. Yeah. Thrawn, I mean, it looks pretty cool, but I mean, like Hera, Sabine, and Ahsoka, they look better,
What about like as a figure? As a complete figure, I know nothing about the character, honestly. Just figure. Darth Revan is a great looking figure. It's a mix of soft goods and plastic, and I think he turned out looking really nice.
That figure must have fell on the floor because I don't see it on the shelf.
Yeah. For me, that one that would have made it would have been the Death Troopers, because as being the only one I have so far, I absolutely love the look of that figure. The design of the helmet, just the black, the green for the eyes, the eyepieces, just I love it.
They turned out looking really good. I mean, for like a $19 figure, I put those on some stands so you can have them kind of walk in, like, together. They look really good.
Yeah, I need to get a couple more.
Let's see. Sportimus said for his haul, he got a Fans Toy Stomp, Masters of the Universe Classics, Horde Troopers 2, Black Series Vader, Rey, Eliminator, Transformers movie, Masterpiece Bumblebee, and Voltron action figures. Keith Lance and Shiro. Oh, those are out because I've been looking for those. I've been looking.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that I want. Whenever I saw that they were going to make that, so I want to buy all those pilots.
Where do you get them? I wonder. Can you tell us where you got them, Sportimus?
Yeah, because I've been searching everywhere for them. Because they told us at San Diego Comic-Con, they're like, yeah, these will be out next week, and I'm like,
right.
I've been like going through the pegs all the time. Let's see here. Sportimus said that his Mount Rushmore, Bespin Luke, Boba Fett, Sabine, and Episode 6 Leia in her disguise. Basically her bounty hunter disguise. Yeah. That was a nice looking face sculpt too. Nice paint on that. Oh god, what did Cameron says his haul was Fans Toys Omega Supreme Part A, G2 Grimlock, Sea Spray, Iron Factory, Thundercracker, Skywarp, Shockwave, and Black Zarak, Unique Toys Swindle and Brawl, Zeta Toys Blast Off, Toy World's Jazz, Sea Spray, Clear Cosmos, DNA Bludgeon, Spark Toys. Jesus.
He's our 3P expert.
I know he loves his third party. And then he also says it's to Spark Toys, Megatron, Open Play Springer, and guess what? He got your favorite, the Hot Soldier Sound Blaster.
Yeah, I'm wanting those Unique Toys Combaticons. They look really good.
I forgot I even got the Omega Supreme Part A because it's I just forgot because I haven't opened it. I refuse to open it until I have both parts.
Let's see. Sportimus said that he got those Voltron figures from Walmart. So I've got plenty of Walmart, so I'll just start hitting them up. And so, but cool. It's just the 3 pilots in this wave, and then they release the other pilots in another wave. I believe is the way they're doing it. All right. So, what about you guys? That figures that just barely missed your Mount Rushmore as far as the Star Wars characters or figures.
For me, it was just Revan, and honestly, like Luke X-Wing almost made it. I still really think like Black Series Wave 1 was really solid when I think back to it, and then I think about everything that's come since. Outside of the Rebels and Revan, I still think Wave 1 was really good, and it needed to be because it needed to hook people immediately. So I get that.
What about you, D?
Yeah, I've got the same thing. X-Wing Luke. The new Luke that just came out for The Last Jedi, that would have made my list too.
Yeah.
Trying to think of any others. I mean, it's kind of hard to say Jango Fett. I mean, him and Boba are pretty much exactly the same, just with the difference of paint.
His face sculpt was pretty good. I mean, that was even before they got this real scan thing that they just did for the Captain Rex coming up at ASCON.
Yeah, I had Captain Rex. That would have been another one too.
But even Jango's face sculpt was still good. I mean, it was nice to get face sculpt.
Real quick, let's do the most underrated 6-inch, Black Series figure that you guys think. The one that I'm thinking of, I think is underrated because you don't army build it. Well, I guess technically you can if you want to do some customization, but in my opinion, it's great. It's Jabba the Hutt, where it's a great looking figure. I don't know what else you could ask them to do with it, but it's one of those that came out with the speeder bike, set, and it was $40 for Jabba. It was $40 for the speeder bike. I've got 6 speeder, biker scouts with speeder bikes, and especially whenever they threw them down to $20, like I was picking them up, the Jabba they threw it back down to $20, from 40. But the thing is like I've got one. I don't need multiple Jabba the Hutts. So I think it's a little underrated, and kind of people always like, I was even overlooking it as well. Like I wasn't even considering it, but in reality, it's a pretty nice figure, and it's a staple. I would say it's kind of a main character, maybe not a staple character, but it's a main character, in episode 6 or 6. What do you guys think are some of the underrated or most underrated figures there?
I'll let you take this one, Rick, because
I'll go back to the Wave 1, the Sand Trooper. I think that one had good detail as far as like the scuffs and dirt, the pauldron. I think that still stands up, looks good, the backpack. And I think Dalton's right. I think the Death Trooper, even though it was everywhere and we've seen it to death, I think that figure is really good for, like I said, like a $19 figure. It's not like Figure Arts or anything like that. You're paying $19. I feel like it was a pretty good figure. The paint, the finish, articulation with a stand. It's got, you can make it look like he's walking, or, ground troops doing their thing. Probably almost any of the troopers, I think they're all good, but they're not the ones that I originally go to. And I think the new Vader, I did not like the first release Vader because there's too much going on. I felt like once you get to taking the mask off and stuff on a 6-inch or a 3 3/4 figure, I just don't think they've nailed it where all the pegs are stable and it's not wonky. I think it just comes off a little bit wonky. They haven't figured it out exactly right for Vader yet. But I like the new one. So I'd say he's underrated, especially right now because, I went at Target the other day, he was warming the shelves, so everybody else was almost gone, and just Vader. So the new one is underrated.
Is that the 40th or?
I think it's the same figure.
Yeah, look, like Sportimus showed me a picture of the two side by side, but it looked like it was, the colors weren't bright on the one from 40th, but that's under like, that the bubble, it's not as clear. Like as soon as if you took that figure out of the packaging, those colors pop a lot more. So, but you might not be someone that opens your figures, I guess, because they were both sealed. What do you think, Dalton?
I've got to say, the Snow Trooper for Force Awakens, a really awesome design for the helmet. I mean, Snow Troopers really aren't my favorite, but just the new designs for the helmet just really kind of draw your attention, and I'm surprised there haven't been more people buying those. Those are the Flame Troopers, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
You have something here. Saron Games says Greedo. Yep, that was a solid looking figure. Couple in here. Bill says, is it Gavian Enforcer from The Force Awakens? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, that's close enough.
And Sportimus says the AT-AT driver, as far as underrated. So
yeah, I think so too. He's a great figure.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and get into this Force Friday stuff. This distribution issue. I heard that some of the places they weren't sending. This was kind of early on. I was reading on some Star Wars forums that where if they were supposed to get 3 cases, some places that they would send them like a 1 case or a case and a half. Like they were having to split. The only place that kind of, I guess, was consistent with theirs was like Walmart, because they had what they call a train, which is basically like an 8-10 or like a 10-foot kind of fixture thing, with a bunch of like little pallets connected to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the reasons. Before I get into it, Rick, what are you? You did the midnight stuff, or do you not?
Yeah, I did. I was thinking if we went through and just talked about our experience, that says a whole lot. So yeah, I'll tell you exactly what I did. I went to one of the bigger Walmarts. There's maybe like 3 that are fairly close to me. I went to the biggest one, and I got there about 9:50, maybe right before 10, and got in line. I was first in line. There ended up only being I've been there for the last 2 years. This year there were only 2 other people, so that was cool. This is what they got. They had, like you said, the pallets that most Walmart got. Not all of them though, but this one got it. The 4 connecting pallets. I'd say they had. I know they had 3 sets of Black Series because all 3 of us that were in line. Before we even went to grab it, we just walked up and we put them into sets, and all 3 of us got sets. That was cool. And that was it. There were some leftover Vaders, and I don't think there was any other leftover figures. That was it. The 3 of us were happy. They only got 1 box of the 3 3/4 figures, the orange wave, not the teal wave. They did not get the teal wave at all. The one with 3PO and Chewbacca and Paige and Rose, or some of those characters. And they had, like I said, 1 box of that. They got the Kylo Ren's TIE silencer. I think they had a box of those. All the other stuff, the pops, they didn't have more than, I think they had 2 or 3 Legos, but nowhere near the whole set of Legos, all the sets that came out. They had 1 of those BB-8 play sets for the 3 3/4 line. And that was about it. After that, I went to one other Walmart, and that Walmart it's a smaller one, but it's still open 24 hours. And they got nothing except for 2 BB-8 Lego sets, the lightsabers, and the little, are they Nerf guns or guns, role play kind of items. That they got no action figures, no ships, nothing at all. That is all they got. No pops, nothing. They hadn't put anything up. And they actually took me to the back and showed me what they were about to bring out, and that's all there was. And then the next day, I took my son, who's 4.5, took him to Target, and it was about 24 hours, not 24 hours later. It was probably about 8 o'clock that next evening. So on Friday evening, went to Target, and I couldn't believe that they actually had almost everything. Most of the small figures they still had. They had the Black Series Rey speeder, Luke's speeder, the Poe Dameron helmet. Most of the Black Series 6-inch from the 7. I think they were lacking Hera. But they had all the 3 3/4 ships still. They had all the Lego sets except for the Star Destroyer. So I was actually really surprised. They didn't have any of the Executioners left. And that was pretty much my experience in that first 24 hours.
Dalton, what was your first Friday like? You do midnight, or did you wait till morning?
I did. I went right after work to Walmart, and I checked the aisle. They had absolutely nothing new. The following day, I went, and they had just this little tiny 4-foot table. And all it was, I think, was the orange 3 3/4 Force whatever stuff that you got, Rick. I think some of the pop figures, this big, it's either a Lego BB-8 or the play set, and that was pretty much it. And I even asked the guy that was working the toy department there, and he said, "Yeah, this is all we got." So I think I'm going to go and talk to a manager probably tomorrow and see if they've gotten anything. So I'm hoping, but yeah, absolutely nothing. Just like that second Walmart you went to, Rick.
Yeah,
just barely anything.
Yep.
And that's what sucks about living out here in the sticks. I mean, having just a Walmart and that's it.
Well, my experience started at Toys R Us, and I got there at 11. I waited in line for an hour. I'm third in line, and there's 2 guys in front of me. and like they're setting everything up, and I'm like, all right, I'm number 3. Last year I was number 1, and the year before that I was either 1 or 2 or something like that. So being number 3, and there's like 30 people, 30 to 35 people outside waiting at Toys R Us.
It's a lot.
Yeah, Grip sent me a picture of his. He goes, look at all these nerds, even though he was there for the same thing. But there was like 50 people in his line. It was long. But here I am. I waited an hour before you open. They're giving like a poster and a T-shirt. I pass that. I go straight for the toys, and then I'll come out and get my T-shirt whenever I get back, to the front of the checkout and stuff like that. And so these two guys, they do the same thing. They're in front of me, and I'm just brisk walking, and then they take off running. Like no one's in front of them. I'm just brisk walking like behind them, and then everybody else got clogged up looking at T-shirts and grabbing free posters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They get there, and they didn't even have wave 1. They had just wave 2. And so they grab all the figure. They grab, or maybe it was, and I didn't see them, but they grab all the figures except for the First Order Officer Finn and Maz Kanata, which I grabbed those two, and I put them on layaway. But I asked, they had Commander Gree in there. They got a case of him. So they got 2 cases: Commander Gree, one of their exclusives, and wave 2. They didn't even have wave 1. And then I asked, hey, what about you guys 2-pack exclusive, with Akbar and the First Order Officer? What you see is what we have. I'm like, okay, so that wasn't really an answer. Did you get it? Is it somewhere else? He goes, well, there's some Star Wars stuff over there too. So I was like, all right, let me go over there. Wasn't over there either. So it's just everyone else that wanted 6-inch Black Series stuff, you're out of luck. Because I'm surprised that I got the 2 that I did.
Yeah.
Because I shouldn't have been able to get I guess they just don't want those 2 or something. But I was grabbing them up. So that's where I saw that General Organa.
Yeah.
The Leia, and that's why I was like, yeah, that's the only one that I think that I saw that I didn't get. I thought that maybe other stores would be getting that wave 2 in as well, but that was the only place that I saw it.
Nobody here got wave 2. I haven't talked to anyone near me that has seen it.
Yeah, so I've got those 2 on layaway, so I feel fortunate with that one. So I left Toys R Us, and again, that's a horrible distribution thing. Like you're advertising your Force Friday, and here's your Star Wars destination midnight. You're giving away free T-shirts and posters. The pictures on the the windows are all about Star Wars, and you get one case. You just get 1 case of action figures for the 6-inch Black Series. That's pretty sad, and you don't even get your exclusive. Your 2-pack.
Like you said, you had 30 people in line, and only the first 3 people got any Black Series. There's 27 other people.
There wasn't that much, and it's like they only got like maybe a case of the 3 3/4-inch stuff.
Yeah,
like that was wiped out too. And so I end up going to the Walmart, and they've always had, I've been able to leave Toys R Us, and whenever I get there, the one by my house, they've always had like an 8-foot section or 10-foot section or 12-foot section, whatever it is. And they got everything there. And that's where I was able, I usually like army build, if there was an army builder or something like that, or if there was a figure that I missed on, then I could pick it up there. They didn't have anything else. I walked around that place, and then I ended up asking some night guy. I'm like, where's the Star Wars stuff, man? And I said, you guys advertise that, hey, midnight release. He goes, Oh, we didn't advertise. I was like, the company Walmart, not you personally, the company Walmart advertised. And I said, like, Force Friday was, you know, a thing, but y'all were all like Jedi something. I forget exactly what y'all's hashtag was, you know, but
Right.
he goes, that stuff's in the back, and they'll probably, you know, the day people will put it out tomorrow at some point. He goes, it's not out now because there's not even a department manager in toys. Like the department manager quit or something, and they've never hired anyone to replace them. I was like, so there's nobody working in toys? They're like, you know, when we night people, we come in and we'll just stock stuff as we kind of see where it needs to go. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be fun. So at that point, I'm pissed. You know, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I go home, go to sleep. I wake up at 6:30 in the morning to hit up, you know, these because Target opens at 8. I need to be in line early there, and I'm like, let me hit up these 2 different Walmarts. The other one, I'll go to the other Walmart, and the toy manager's there. I've talked to the lady. She's the department manager. I've talked to her before. She's like tried to hire me again. This is like the 3rd or 4th time she's tried to hire me in toys, and I'm like, nope, not. You know, I don't want to do that. She said she couldn't get it out yet because she's the only employee that works in toys, and no one else will put it out. I'm like, yeah, the one down the street doesn't even have an employee.
Yeah.
You know, in that department. I'm like, this is crazy. You know,
Yeah,
and we're getting close to Christmas, or you know, closer.
Walmart across the board, as far as I can tell, other than the one store I went through to who did have their stuff together, it wasn't easy, but it wasn't super difficult. I had to talk to 3 people before I found one that knew, and it ended up being like the co-manager at night. But from what I've heard from everybody else, everyone had generally the same experience with Walmart. Their customer service keeps getting worse and worse.
Yeah, so I left there. I was like, well, I'm gonna go back to the other one. It's closer to my house, and then it's right next to Target. So I'll go back there, and I see that they still don't have anything there. So I'm like, all right, let me go jump in line, and I'm waiting like 45 minutes in front of Target, and I'm first in line. And then here comes people. I see some people, another guy, which was cool. He's a collector, and he was second in line. And then there was the other guy where he was just there for like pop figures. So we were like, all right, we're not worried about you, you know, because we don't care about pop figures. And so we're, you know, me and this guy were 1 and 2, but he wasn't one of the guys from earlier. He was like 5th in line. He didn't get anything at Toys R Us last night. We're like, what are you after? He's like, well, I need the Wave. I'm like, me too. It's mainly that Executioner though, because that's the exclusive. So we go in there and finally open the doors, walk all the way back to Toys. These fools are just now setting this stuff up. So the whole waiting in line was pointless because it wasn't there for me to just like, I'm first, here we go. I got all my stuff. Now I'm heading to the checkout. Because I got there, I'm like, where's this? There were customers where we basically took over and started opening boxes. Like, you know, because they were just stocking it. Yeah. And I'm like, this is ridiculous, because now guy that was, you know, number 30, he's up here with me. We're basically at the same time, you know. So you know, it was like, oh, here's the box. Then, you know, we'd both be tearing, you know, through it trying to get it. So, and they had the thing in like 3 different places, their Star Wars stuff. They had it like on some end cap. They had it like down back where seasonal items were, and then they had some where the toy section was. So had to go back and forth. I finally got what I, you know, some things that I needed, but the Executioner wasn't there. And so we told, and it was just me and this other guy looking for the Executioner, the guy that was number 2 in line with me. And everybody had already gotten their stuff and left. And I said, hey, you know, you guys, you know, we're looking for the Executioner. It's your exclusive. And he gives me the whole same thing Toys R Us did. Everything we have Star Wars is out. I said, that's not correct. You have this. It's in the back. So will you go back there and go get it and bring it out? And he gives me the everything. I promise you everything. We like him saying like promise or swear is gonna have like, oh, you promise. Now I believe you. I promise you everything we have is out. And the pop figure guy, he goes, well, I was here last week and y'all put the executioners out. And then whenever I tried to buy it, y'all wouldn't sell it to me. So y'all went and put them all back in a box and took them to the back. And I was like, yeah, so there you go. You wouldn't sell them. So that means that they're there. He goes, well, then they've already been sold. I said, that's impossible because you couldn't sell them till right now. And we're the first people here. Who bought them? Unless employees bought them. And he goes, no, we did not do that. I said, well, then you do have them because you put them out last week. He goes, we don't break street date. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this guy. And we're just going back. Like, he's giving me corporate answers over and over again. And I'm like, will you just go to the back and humor me and just look? And he's like, we have to get all this inventory out, and stuff. I'm like, you're having to get it out so that it's there so people can buy it. I'm telling you that I want to buy something right now. It's in the back. Go get it so I can buy it. And he gives me the corporate answer. So me and this one, number 2 guy, we're just like, man, this is bullshit. I don't want to cuss because
right.
Oh, they're going to demonetize me. But I'm just like, this is BS, and then this lady comes over with this little iPad thing or whatever. And she goes, is there anything I can help you guys with? And we're like, well, we're both looking for your exclusive executioner. She goes, or I said, you're exclusive. And she said, the executioner? I said, yes. She goes, like, scrolls through this and then pulls up the picture. Is that it? That's him. That's what we're looking for. She goes, give me one moment. Minute and a half later, she comes back with 4. And says, here you go, guys. Like, that's all the guy had to do. So he pissed us off.
It's amazing.
And then I was like, all right, let me go to Walmart. So, because I was like, I still need some more stuff. And I was like, okay, now, I could, calm down. That guy, pissed me off. I go to Walmart. And I start talking to this co-manager, and he's a co-manager. He's not like I said, this store doesn't have a department manager. He's a co-manager, or support manager or whatever. Like he's a higher up. And I'm like, look, I don't see the new Star Wars stuff. And he goes, our Star Wars section is over in toys, because I'm talking to him in electronics, because I had to get someone to, page a manager over there. And he goes, there's Star Wars stuff, the toy, that's over in the toy section. I said, no. Walmart has an 8 to 10 foot, what they call a train. You guys call it a train. I said, it's going to have cardboard around it. And it's going to, have like a sign on it saying, do not put out until 9/1, And he's sitting there. He goes, I promise you, there's nothing in the back like that. I've just came from the back. We don't have anything like that. I'm like, yes, you do. I said, it's in the back. We argued for probably 10 minutes, like a good 10 to 15 minutes, to where we were basically almost screaming at each other. And, or we were raising our voices at each other, not screaming. And to where he goes, fine, you know what? I'll go back there, I'll look, and I'll come back and tell you, the exact same thing I'm telling you now. There's nothing, no Star Wars stuff back there. He goes back, he comes back like a couple minutes later. He goes, all right, I saw it. We're going to be bringing it out in like 30 minutes. Let us clear this area out. I'm like, no, sorry. No, man, I'm sorry. I wasted 10 minutes of both of our time arguing with you instead of just saying, oh, let me humor you. I mean, he could have just went to the, oh, yeah, you know what? Let me go check. He could have went back there, not even looked, just scratched himself a little bit, and they just been like, all right, screw that guy. I'm going to walk back out there and tell him that I didn't see anything. But he'd rather argue with me for 10 minutes and then come back and be like, yeah, I saw it. It'll be out in 30 minutes. What a jerk.
Yeah, man.
I finally got everything I needed there, but I still need the Poe and the Wave 2 stuff. So that was my experience.
That was crazy. The one thing I wanted to point out, we thought, I think was it the last Gumbo where we had like we had a very long, nice distribution topic conversation. And I have a few people, one friend in particular, who said, the tinfoil hat thing, like it's all a bunch of hearsay. Well, so during these 3 stores that I went to, out of the 2 stores, I ended up having 2 conversations. And one conversation was a long one because it was the first at the midnight release, and there was 3 of us in line. So I had mentioned before that this last year, other than last Force Friday, I never saw a new figure, Black Series figure, in the big Walmart, the one that does the best in the area that we live. And we're in Virginia, by the way. So a whole year. So I asked this guy, we had like 2 hours to kill. So we talked. And we talked about distribution, and I told him about our show, and we had just talked about this. He told me that this last year, he found 1 wave of Black Series all year, 12 months, 1 wave at the big store. The other stores, we talked about it a little bit. They were pretty hit or miss. We can't really find anything. They just don't get as much stuff as our big one. So he didn't find anything there. As far as like Marvel Legends, we said that you can pretty much find, if you look twice a week at like Walmart and Target, you can piece together Marvel Legend waves pretty easily all year long. I didn't have any issues. He didn't have any issues. It was Star Wars. He didn't collect Transformers, so we couldn't talk about that. But Star Wars, and then the third person said the same thing. It has gotten so hard that they're going to BBTS or Amazon or eBay. So just from those conversations, I'm like, it's not just us. We're all in separate states. So it's just a distribution problem.
And Marvel Legends, never a problem. I can always find what I need Marvel Legends if I do need anything there. Multiples. At Walgreens, all those, just all the Walmarts, Targets, Toys R Us, multiple Marvel Legends. They're having to put that stuff on clearance to make room for more Marvel Legends that they're getting.
Yeah.
Star Wars still? No.
Yeah, see, that's what's going on here with Marvel Legends. They put out so much, and then they can't sell it, and then they end up putting it on clearance for like right before the reset, like $5 per figure.
Yeah, they're like $9, I think. Sportimus says wrestling toy collectors don't have any problems. That is probably the truest statement ever.
Yeah. I mean, for like an event, like, we have that topic discussion about this distribution, but like, and we were talking about all year, but this is like the big event of the entire year. Like this one night where it's so focused. Why was, out of the 3 of us, we all had at least one bad experience that night. You guys had more than one. So it's just weird to me that they would promote this event, and they did promote it. It wasn't heavily, I didn't think it was heavily promoted. We might think so because we're kind of super fans, but like as far as like the general public, I could see where like most people might not have heard about it. I heard even like the local radio station that day was talking about it. So it was covered. But when you go to the store and they don't have anything, or these partnerships with like a Walmart, when at store level, they don't know what you're talking about, there's a serious problem. I mean, it's been like that for a while, but I think it's gotten worse. It hadn't gotten better. They hadn't figured it out.
Especially whenever you say, where's the stuff for Force Friday? And they're like, what's that? What's a Force Friday?
Anybody that is going to HasCon that watches us, you should ask them. I mean, it's the perfect time to ask stuff like that. Distribution, or hey, I live in this state. This is, so if you're going, or if you have a friend that's going, tell them to ask them. Maybe we'll get, see some interviews or talk about it. Even if it's the designers can get in touch with other folks. I mean, it's important. They want, if you're designing a toy, the last thing you want is for people not to be able to buy it. You want people to be able to find it and enjoy it. So,
let's see. some other things that I want to talk about for Star Wars. At least the 6-inch Blackline series. All those exclusives. I mean, who doesn't have an exclusive? Sears. I mean, that's the only. I mean, Walmart. It has at least one exclusive. Walgreens has exclusive. GameStop has a couple exclusives. Barnes and Noble, Disney Store, Toys R Us has several exclusives. Amazon has exclusives. Amazon ones are always the hardest ones to get because they're online, and people just ordering from one place versus in your area, you're only having to compete with other toy collectors in your area.
Scalpers. The problem with exclusives is that they're called exclusives, so scalpers know. So I usually have to get my exclusives. Other than Toys R Us, sometimes I can find them there, but mostly I did find one at Target last year, but mostly I have to buy those.
I'm glad there wasn't a Kmart exclusive because I don't have a Kmart here in my town. They're
all closed. Yeah, ours too.
Yeah, so Victoria's Secrets doesn't have an exclusive. They should.
Starbucks. I'm surprised there's not a Starbucks like Shore Trooper or something. Like he's got like a little coffee mug, a little coffee.
Oh, but there's. I was counting it up. And there are more exclusive figures in these first two waves. There are more exclusive figures than there are regular release figures. That is a problem.
Yeah, that is a problem. That's crazy. I didn't even know about a lot of the exclusives I didn't know about until after the fact because I didn't know there were that many. I was like, oh, I saw 3 exclusives, so I'm in the know. We had talked about some on our show, so. But I didn't know it was that many. I didn't know about Akbar until Cybercast tonight. So, I mean,
Also, the Poe Dameron helmet, I only saw it at Target. I didn't see it. It didn't come with the Walmart's display.
Yeah, that's a good point. Walmart didn't have the Black Series vehicles here. I guess the stores don't perform well enough to have them.
Oh, dude, they had it. They had probably 10 of each. Whenever they finally brought that train out that had to argue with the manager to get out there.
Yeah.
And so,
anybody watching what Dalton, you're in Colorado?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got Colorado, Texas, and Virginia. So
well, southeastern Colorado. I'm not a good example because I'm not in a big city, so
and I'm about 45 minutes outside the city, so
I guess I could be a good example because of stores being just totally neglected on distribution.
Yeah, no, it's good for. I'd watched some other videos about just the experience, and one thing no one was doing was giving a general idea, like here's the state that I'm in. I always appreciate that because it lets you kind of take in. We talk about all these topics. I just like to have an idea of the business end of it.
Sportimus says Baskin Robbins exclusive snow trooper with ice cream cone accessory.
There you go. And every one that they sell has a different, maybe like paint app for the 31 different flavors they have.
Oh no.
Yeah.
How about their variant troop building?
It's a lot. I mean, and a lot of this stuff's really expensive. We haven't talked about price or anything like that, but even like the new Black Series centerpiece figures, they're $50. I don't know. They're even the 3 3/4 vehicles
that you can display your other $20 figures with.
Yeah, it's literally the center. It is that thing. It gives you. We were talking earlier about the stands. Some of these new exclusives that are coming up to Luke, and even last year had some where they have gives you a piece of their environment. It's a cool idea. I kind of wish that they would take the centerpiece idea without the statue part, but the door with Vader. I wish that just came with Vader. And maybe you pay $10 more for a nice big stand. And maybe they ship it where it's you've got a few of the regular ones and then a few of the deluxe ones. Like Sideshow or Hot Toys does with theirs. You have a deluxe version and a regular version. You can pick which ones you want. I like the stands. I think it's a good idea. So somewhere between their exclusives And the centerpiece somewhere in there is a good idea of where Black Series could go next. Because people like stands.
I would like stands. One, it would keep my figures standing upright. I have to have some peg holes to, for them to have. But the environment stands, again, those deluxes, they're just charging, instead of 20, they're charging 25. I would be willing to pay $5 for those stands because they're not just like little G.I. Joe stands where it's just like a black dog tag, like there's an environment piece to it, which looks cool.
Yeah.
God, then I'd have to buy a lot more shelves because then I can't just stack them up like, like I've got right now. They take up a ton of room. Let's see. One of the other things I wanted to talk about with this Star Wars stuff. Another thing is with some of these exclusives, none of them have like a set date. Like I was looking at those ones that come with these like stands and stuff like that. Those are said to be October 1st, and so it's like, okay, so I got at least an idea of when those are. The Walgreens exclusive, it's should be sometime from now to the movie probably. I mean, who knows? The Toys R Us 2-pack exclusive. It says on their website, bam, 9/1, and I was looking at it. I was like, well, I'm about to go pick this sucker up, in the store because I'm right here, number 3 in line. Nope, didn't get it in. Now I'm gonna have to like scout them out, on truck days, early in the mornings, which sucks. And then GameStop, that one's easy for me because I've made friends with the store manager. So I'm just like, dude, just put that to the side, text me, call me, whatever.
I might have to hit you up for that one.
Just tell them 2 Snokes.
Yeah, I want that one.
Yeah. Now, the other thing on the one of the GameStop, the one that's going to be a 4-pack, it's a GameStop, Barnes & Noble, and Disney Store exclusive. I like this. I want this to happen more often to where it's a Target and Toys R Us exclusive. Like I could get it at either place. I want more of that, so cut down on the exclusives, but do shared exclusives with people, or do shared exclusive with BBTS. Make it to where I could go to a couple places and it's available to me. Quit making it to where it's very, very hard, or like whenever they had Kmart exclusives, that if it doesn't pop up online, then I'm just SOL,
Yeah.
But that 4-pack, be in 3 different places. I think your best spot to if I didn't have a buddy at manager friend at GameStop to look out for me, I try the Barnes & Noble because that's going to be a chance that more than likely most people aren't going there to buy toys.
Yeah,
they're going there for like books and Starbucks, $8 coffees and stuff. So, that's probably where I would go. But I also like the fact that it's $80 instead of $100. Because remember, Entertainment Earth, when they come out, and Amazon, whenever they come out with these 4-packs, when they came out with the 4-pack of their Troopers, or Entertainment Earth came out with their 4-pack of things, it was $100. So I like the $80.
It's pretty good.
All right. We got anything else we want to share with us, the Star Wars stuff? Were you ready to just kind of touch briefly on this Hasbro? I don't know what kind of changes are going up there at the very top. We know that Mark Webber's no longer there. Didn't one of you guys say that you talked with Mark or something, or no? It was Mike. So we're gonna try to see about getting Mark Webber. On the show. Yeah. That would be a good conversation.
Yeah.
Remember talking to him at all the BotCons? Really cool guy.
He was.
I remember him at 2014.
Yeah.
Last time I remember seeing him.
So Hasbro has decided that they are going all out war against everybody. So first off, against DC, where They are suing them over the trademark Bumblebee. Now, Pete Sinclair, that used to run BotCon, now Pete's Robot Convention. He made a little joke and said, I picked up Bumblebee for this shelf today, and it was a bunch of Transformers, but it was the DC Bumblebee, kind of playing a joke that Hasbro, like, what are you doing? Like, nobody is like mixing up this DC female superhero versus this robot Camaro Volkswagen, which whatever you want to call him, Bumblebee.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So it's I don't understand it. Ricky, you probably deal with a lot of different businesses doing that creative stuff for them and advertising. So you probably know more about the legal stuff as far as like it is the name and slogan and stuff.
I've had to get trademarks for all kinds of. There's one in particular. I can't really talk about work stuff, but I can tell you that I've seeked trademarks and had success with almost most of them, as long as you do a little upfront investigation to make sure it's safe. But yeah, I mean, you go through a law firm for things like that, and usually early on, at least when I'm doing like the naming and the logo and things, I do it early on in the process. So, but you have to do it. Now I've seen people that did not go through it and ended up in crazy situations where they had to change the name and the logo and the whole identity right before like a launch of a product. And that's a horrible situation to be in. But usually the things that you have to look out for would be, what's the context in which are you talking about a car versus a coffee, brand of coffee? The other thing in other words, is there some kind of context where they could be easily confused? And in this particular one, if it's a toy, it's possible. Like if DC has the Bombshell line and they have a Bumblebee figure, but Hasbro has a Bumblebee action figure. They are both toys. There are some things. The other thing you look at is like the location too, and if it's something that's national versus something that's like a local kind of thing. This one's obviously would be huge. So I get it to a certain degree of what they're thinking, what they're looking at. There are certain things and I think if you're Hasbro and you're talking about Bumblebee, it's such a huge character that you would probably want to just have Bumblebee outright. Like it's sort of like Optimus. I think those two in particular, maybe Megatron. There's a few that would be just like your bread and butter. So I do understand to a certain degree what they're doing or how it happened. I think the biggest reason is because that Bumblebee movie is next on the list. So the merchandise for that is going to be insane.
Maybe part of it. See, like a name like if DC or Ninja Turtles or something, had a let's say they, Ninja Turtles actually did have a character named Chrome Dome.
Yeah.
You suing Playmates, for Chrome Dome. So I mean that probably plays into that. Bumblebee is a more iconic character to that. But let's. I was trying to use an example more like if Playmates said like, oh, here's a new character. We're gonna call him Optimus Prime. Like that's a very unique name to where. And like if you say it, people know exactly what you're talking about. If I just said Bumblebee, you could be like, what, like an actual Bumblebee that could sting me? Or are you talking about the Transformer or the DC character? There's it's a more of a common name and you could hear it more. If I said this guy's I don't know, DC is like, hey, we got a new superhero character, and his name is Starscream. You know, it's like, okay, you know, why are you naming them Starscream? That's, you know, kind of unique again. You know, but Bumblebee, I mean, that's an actual insect. You know,
I'll say this. You know, and it may be because they've always, you have to renew these things, your copyrights, your trademarks and things on an annual basis, or maybe it could be a little different. I've dealt with annuals, but I'm surprised that, and it may be because they've always renewed it and not ever let it go where there was a lull between, you know, when you had your copyright or trademark. But I'm surprised they haven't had to go with Autobot Bumblebee or something to make it specific, because like you said, Bumblebee is such a generic thing, you know? And
yeah,
usually
like
you
a
have
name like that would be
right.
That's like what, like pipes. Like all the hardware stores that just have like, oh, here's pipes. Like, what are they? They're actual pipes, and Hasbro is like suing them. No, that's our character, pipes.
Yeah.
Hot Rod, for one, you know, there's a long time where it was just Rodimus.
There's Hot Rod magazine.
Exactly,
you know?
and
yeah, they've had to get it creative with a lot of things like Hot Rodimus, stuff like that. Autobot Jazz. I've seen them get creative with a lot of things, but I don't think I've ever seen them have to get creative with Bumblebee or put anything in front of Bumblebee. It is kind of weird that they've been able to do that, but.
Sportimus said two things that are funny here. Soon Hasbro will sue the actual bumblebees. You're going down, bees. And then it says, "Look out, Bumblebee tuna." Hasbro's gonna get you.
Yeah.
I mean, again, you know, like it's kind of a common name, you know, and it can be, you know, used for a bunch of different stuff. Like you don't own the name to that. So that, you know, that Optimus Prime, that's yours. That, you know,
so specific.
There's no Optimus Prime tuna. There's no like actual like Optimus Prime insects out there. You know, like you say Optimus Prime, we know exactly who you're talking about. You say Megatron, we know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah.
I bet Optimus Prime tuna would taste pretty good though, but it
tastes like face.
It doesn't. It, you know, it's one of those that, you know, it doesn't like pipes, Hot Rod, Bumblebee. You know, I'm sure we could sit here. We, you know, if we thought about it, we could really think of you know, a lot of them. But you know, I just don't think that works, you know. But again, you know, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm sure that they'll get all technical with the legal stuff. But I'm just talking about from like a common sense point of view, like,
yeah,
like come on. Now the other thing is what might also, you said about the movie, Bumblebee movie, also Hasbro, they do Marvel figures. And this might be a way to take, you know, jab at DC. Now, if this was a Marvel character, you know, leave it alone.
Yeah.
It's the competition.
It's probably true.
So I'm not saying that's the only factor, you know. I'm saying,
but if it was, you're right. If it was Marvel, I don't see him doing that because it's button heads with partnerships and things like that.
Yeah. So, and the, you know, those two, you know, are going at it. What if DC was like, you know, because they trademark Wonder Woman, but like, and then whenever people say like just like Rick, you come on here and you say, you know, my wife, that woman, she's wonderful, and then DC's like, I'll see you in court.
She's a Wonder Woman.
Yeah. So I'm just, you know, or Superman, like, oh man, like Shaq got the Superman tattooed. He called himself Superman. Dwight Howard called himself Superman. Even where it came out in the Superman outfit in a slam dunk contest, you know. You know, well, DC ain't suing anyone.
Here's another one. Calvin Johnson. They didn't sue him, did they? For calling himself Megatron.
Called himself Megatron. No, what they do, they gave him his own toy.
Yeah.
And an award made out of animated Megatron.
Yeah, so I think this has a lot more than we think, probably to do with this is the competition using a name that we use as well.
Yeah, could be.
Now, Hasbro, they're not just seeking legal things up against DC, but we saw, and we kind of teased this earlier on Cybercast, that Kapow Toys, they left a post on TFW that they got their first cease and desist letter over concerning third-party items. So they didn't really disclose what was all in there. From what I've, Cameron could probably tell us, inform us more on it and stuff like that. I think he told me a little bit on Facebook, but they've got the letter. They said that there's probably going to be some changes, that they're not really going to go into it now. Some other people, they started asking other online retailers or e-tailers if they also got it. They've kind of no commented at this point. Is Hasbro finally trying to, like, maybe they can't eliminate, they can't stop the making of them, as far as the makers, like Fans Toys or Fans Project and stuff like that, can't stop them because of in China, but they can stop the distributors, the Kapow Toys, Big Bad Toy Store, TF Stores, Chosen Prime, and so that's way they're going after the distributors. So maybe if they cut them off, then they don't have a way to get them out. You think that that's what they kind of thought?
I don't know. This is one of those ones where I was hoping that Kapow would put out a little more information, but I guess they can't.
Well,
Details.
Even if these e-tailers were, made to stop, what's going to stop the third-party companies from making their own websites and, to where you can buy figures from them directly?
I mean, that's true. But I've talked to some third-party companies. The cost of shipping would be a lot, and a lot of work from them to do shipping and customer service as far as shipping. Cameron, he's queuing in here, so I'll read that in a second. But from what I've talked with some of the third-party companies, I'm like, why don't y'all do distribution, yourself, because now, you would make more profit if you cut out, let's say the BBTS or Kapow and and them, because they obviously mark it up to make a profit on it. He was like, the price that as far as whenever you add shipping to all these different places, he goes, one, to do the shipping, that would be like a full-time job to knock that stuff out, going all these different places, because other they have kind of a big thing going on where they have people that just do filling our orders, and sometimes it takes a couple of days. They would be doing wrapping each individual item and then shipping them out to all these different places, and the price of that shipping would be so much that it would probably be more than what you pay for it at a distributor. So, in most cases,
yeah.
Let's see. What did Cameron say? He says Kapow said it is specific third-party items, and Kapow has more Zeta Blastoffs coming next week. It seems to not be widespread to me. Okay, so it's very specific third-party items, not all of them. And most retailers do more business with Hasbro than third-party companies. That's true. And it does. Let's see. Sportimus says that hurts Hasbro too. And Cameron says it does, but it depends on if they feel third-party hurts more than it's worth the risk.
I mean, my thing with the reason it hasn't happened so far is because it's been an absolutely great test market. And it's probably how the last few, we're in the middle, we're in this trilogy right now with the Combiner Wars and Titan and all this stuff, Master stuff. I think to get a Voyager Predaking. I mean, if you look at all the things they're giving us, it's like they've been looking at a test market and they've seen what people are paying and like, we can do this too, much cheaper. They'll buy it. I mean, we know for a fact that like with interviews a few years ago, they were telling us that we'd never see this stuff. and then we get the stuff via third party, and now we're getting it via Hasbro. It doesn't take, it's not rocket science. So I think that's exactly why we haven't seen any real action taking place, is because it's a great test market.
I've also talked to some Hasbro guys, or guys that used to work for Hasbro, that they told me that there are people that are employed in the Transformers, toy department or whatever, or maybe it's all Hasbro toys, but it's specifically Transformers, that every time that there's a third party thing, it goes in a file. I said, so they're paying attention to this third party stuff? He goes, every bit of it. Every single bit of it. If it's just been prototype and it never even went through, they've got images and info on every bit of it. Yeah. They know. They're paying attention to it. Like, that's from actual Hasbro employees that have told me that.
Well, see, and another example would be, it was 3 years ago, but Mark had said, do not expect any pretenders in the upcoming years. Here we are, and we're getting, in a way, pretenders with these whole, decoy suits.
Yeah.
So,
that big Devastator that we got, you can thank third party.
Oh yeah,
for that too.
Even Predaking. I mean, you got Feral Rex and
any of the big stuff. And about a year and a half from now, you can go ahead and thank Fans Toys for this Omega Supreme, because we'll get an official one eventually.
Yeah, they said they were going to be doing that.
And you can thank Mag Toys for Scorponok.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we have here. All right, so Cameron said Capel did say it is third party, not KO, for their letter, which is surprising. You would think that it'd be more. Me as a company, I would be more concerned with the KO stuff, that you're just blatantly ripping off my stuff, and versus like, hey, here's your own little twist on my character,
right?
Both would make me mad, but the one that would make me the angriest would you just blatantly ripping off my stuff.
Yeah.
I paid a designer to make that, and you're skipping that process. Like I kind of mentioned before, that's why I just don't buy KO stuff. I don't want it. If I can't afford the real thing, I'm not going to buy a KO to stand in its place. I just won't get it. So I don't want to support them at all. Let's see. What is it? Sportimus said the Hot Soldier toys may be an issue. You know what? Master P, he needs to come after Hot Soldiers, because I think that was one of his 1,000 labels or people that he signed or whatever. So, that's pretty much all I had on that. I didn't have a ton of information, but I just thought it was kind of relevant.
It'll be interesting to see how it all turns out. I want to see how the Bumblebee thing turns out. If DC has to change her to Queen Bee or whatever name they have to change.
There's already a Queen Bee.
It'll be really interesting.
Yeah, they already have a Queen Bee though.
If Hasbro's lawyers can make this work where they have exclusive rights to using Bumblebee, that's going to be crazy. I'll be really surprised that if it works. I'm surprised they could do that.
But that's an insect. So insect, animal, how do you get exclusive rights to a name? Like if I said a shark, I'm gonna name a character and then I'm gonna just call him Shark, so it's it's an animal. Just like an insect, I have Shark, so that's mine. So anytime someone uses Shark, or if you're at a casino in Las Vegas and someone says, "Oh, that guy's a card shark," I'm suing you. Shark, that's mine. I can't own an animal name.
Yeah, most of the time you have to put something in front of it, like make it local or make it, you have to do something to it to be able to do that. That's why they do Autobot Jazz. That's why they do.
Exactly, Jazz.
Yeah.
Jazz. Like,
Ratchet.
you can't own that. That's a music genre. You can't own that name. So it's ridiculous. Let's see. Cameron said he wanted to mention this. One theory I like that I read is that it is based on Unique Toys Peru Kill. That basically that lockdown that we looked at today. He says maybe Paramount or whoever the UK movie distributor is pushing it, maybe behind it. So.
That's interesting.
Because that is just ripping the CGI model and trying to turn it into a figure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and end it here. You know, when it just I think let's see, about hour and 20 minutes. I liked what we talked about. Next Galactic Gumbo, we're going to be doing our top figures of 2017 thus far. I think we wanted to do this originally like 6 months in, but here we are.
Yeah.
9 months in. Right. So that's what we'll do then, and we'll have a lot more stuff and some Mount Rushmore and different stuff like that. So Dalton, why don't you tell people where they can find you?
You can find me everywhere, Daltonians TFs, and PlayStation Network is Daltonian95.
All right, Rick.
And you can find me on Twitter as Shatrdglassjazz.
And you can find me, G1Xtron, on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook pages, the G1Xtron. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed, and we'll talk to you guys later. Peace.